Good morning, everybody. I thought that for today I would talk about Kiss Alive 1 and Kiss Alive 2. A Kiss, as I have mentioned on here before, is my favorite band. I've been into this band since I was a kid. My dad introduced me to the band because he was a fan of theirs when he was a teenager, so was my mom. And he had some of their albums on cassette. Um, but I'm just going to briefly just talk about the albums and why I love them. So starting out with Kiss Alive 1, which came out in 1975, features songs from their first three studio albums. You got the self-titled debut, Hotter Than Hell, and Dressed to Kill. Two of, I think maybe even all three, my dad had on cassette. He did not have Kiss Alive 1. I didn't get to hear this album until many years later, but I had always heard on the radio, and you still can, their live version of Rock and Roll All Night from Dressed to Kill, which became a big hit for them, and they became really popular. This is a multi-platinum album now because of that song, and deservedly so. It was produced by Eddie Kramer at Electric Ladies, mixed in the Electric Lady Studios in New York, where Kiss would play those early days, where they would record their music. It was taken; these were taken from three shows at in Cleveland, Ohio, Wildwood, New Jersey, and I believe Detroit, Michigan. And Detroit, of course, they were big there. Um, one of the first, I think, I believe, was one of the first cities they were actually famous in. But then, but anyway, there were so many good songs on here. You got Deuce, Strutter, Got to Choose, Hotter Than Hell, Firehouse, Nothing to Lose, Come On and Love Me, Parasite, She, Watching You, 100,000 Years, Black Diamond, Rock Bottom, Cold Gin, Rock and Roll All Night, as I mentioned before, and Let Me Go, Rock and Roll. Some of these songs they still play live today. They played some of them when I saw them, both times I saw them. But as a kid, I was always used to this one, Kiss Alive 2, because my dad had at least half of it on cassette. He said he bought it that way. At least I think my mom said he bought it that way at a flea market or whatever. So it would have been great if the first half of this album was there. So I grew up not hearing that first half. This, of course, was also produced by Eddie Kramer, but it was taken from a show in Los Angeles, except one song was actually recorded live in Tokyo. And like the first one here, they did some touch ups in the studio later. It's not 100% live, but hey, that does not matter because they were all live albums were done that way. I mean, they wanted to clean it up so you can not hear the mistakes that they make because humans make mistakes, and probably they had to pipe in some crowd noise, and there's different reasons why they had to do what they did. They're still great albums, and I love them, and always will. I also like Alive 3 and 4. I do not have a copy of Alive 3, but I do have a copy of Alive 4. It was the first one I actually heard the full length of, and I love that one. But on here, they decided that they were not going to play songs from the first three albums. They would not take those recordings from the show in LA, which is good. So you only hear songs from the following three studio albums, being Destroyer, Rock and Roll Over, and Love Gun. Albums we did not have when I was little, but later on, my parents would buy on CD and cassette, and I bought Destroyer when I was a teenager. I was like, I'm 19 years old. But anyway, this includes Detroit Rock City, King of the Nighttime World, Ladies Room, Making Love, Love Gun, Calling Dr. Love, Christine 16, Shot Me, Harlot Woman, and Tomorrow Tonight. These last two songs were actually taken from Soundcheck. They are not played at the shows. And of course, the second half, which, like I said, I have did listen to growing up. You got I Stole Your Love, Beth, which was taken in Tokyo, God of Thunder, I Want You, and Shout It Out Loud. And then you have 5 studio tracks: All American Man, Rockin' in the USA, Larger Than Life, Rocket Ride, and Any Way You Want It. Of these 5 songs, I would say that All American Man and Larger Than Life, I think, are the 2 best ones on here. The 8th song, Rocket Ride's pretty good. But yeah, all in all, a great album. This came out in 1977, and like the images on the back. I mean, it's pretty cool. You got Gene spitting up blood. Of course, there's Ace, and Peter, and Paul. It's funny, when we were kids, for Halloween, before, my brother, we started going out, taking him out for trick-or-treating. At that point, we stopped doing that. You do it for a few years and you're like, I want to do something else for Halloween. Because I want to be other things besides just Kiss, every year. But I would always be the Star Child, and my sister always got to be the cat. And yeah, it was pretty fun in those days. And then my dad listening to all the albums that he had on cassette. Every time he would go play with his model trains, I'd be down there to watch him, and he would always end up putting Kiss in because he knew I liked it. And I thank him for that because to me they're just the greatest band ever. And these are 2 really great live albums. And other bands back then had great live albums too. I've only heard a few of them, but there's some good ones, and I might try to grab copies of those eventually. But yeah, I just wanted to just do a video, just do a video today because I haven't really been doing much lately. And I said, screw it. I'm just going to talk about these 2 albums because they're freaking awesome. On the first album, Firehouse was one of my favorite songs. Still is. Oddly, when I was a kid, Christine 16 was my favorite, especially the live version, which somehow I had heard the live version, but if my dad didn't have the full album, then how the heck did I hear it? I don't know. But I do remember hearing that song. I always liked that song as a kid. And then I got older and found out what it was about, and, not my favorite song anymore. But yeah, as a kid, I didn't know. And it was my favorite Kiss song. Probably my favorite song ever at that point. And as I got older, like I said, not so much. Started buying more of their albums and being able to listen to them, especially with streaming. And yeah. And this Alive 2 I bought used. I don't remember where. Half Price Books, actually, is where I bought it. Because they do sell CDs and stuff. I'm glad they had that there because I'm like, I want this. And of course, I got Alive from Amazon. Amazon's great. But if you have not listened to these 2 albums, especially if you've never heard of Kiss, listened to Kiss, I highly recommend checking these out. Like first-time listeners to this band, this is what you recommend to them because these albums capture what the band was like live. The studio albums, they say, didn't really do that. And when you listen to it and you see all these live things, you're like, yeah, I can see that. The studio versions of these songs are great, obviously, but the definitive versions are on these 2 albums. Highly recommend them. And there was a lot of people who got started with Kiss because of this first album. Me, it was, of course, well, their first album was this album. Obviously not their first. Whatever. But incredible, great albums. And, yeah. But anyway, let me know what you think about them in the comments below, about these albums. If you're a fan, and I know there's people out there who are not fans, and that's okay. You can not like them, but don't be a jerk to those of us who do like them. But you mostly, when people are, giving their opinions about stuff, they're, they're respectful, and that's great. But, you occasionally get some trolls and some weirdos who are like, oh, why you listen to that? You're dumb. You're this, that, or whatever. Screw you, okay? Like, really. But, again, we all have opinions, and that's great. But opinions are like a-holes. We all have them, and we all stink. Or they all stink, as the saying goes. But hey, whatever. Like what you don't, but don't treat the rest of us like scum just because we do. And if you don't like the band, yeah, you can go ahead and say in the comments you don't like them and why. That's great. But don't attack us fans. Don't attack me. I mean, of course, nothing you say is really going to hurt me anyway. I don't care. Honestly, like, whatever. But again, let me know what you think in the comments below about these two albums. And please like this video if you enjoyed it. I got plenty of other content on this channel. Um, please check that out. And if you like what you see, subscribe. And I will see you all later. For those of you who watch me on Rumble, I'm going to try to do a live stream tomorrow morning. Because there I can actually talk about stuff that you can't talk about on YouTube. Even though this channel, I know I have stuff about music and movies and Lord of the Rings and stuff like that on here, but there's also political stuff because I do like to talk about that kind of stuff as well. And so yeah. Anyway, I'll see you all later. God bless.